I can.
Thank you. So, welcome to Let's Talk Business. This is a weekly webinar series put on by the Washington Center for Women in Business. And today's topic is your website your number one salesperson with Jennifer Kriego. Very excited for this topic. I think this is all, the websites are so important these days for businesses, especially small businesses. So this is definitely a timely topic. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I am recording this, so if you want to listen to anything again or share with colleagues, feel free to do so. In the meantime, though, since this is being recorded, please mute yourself in between. You're welcome to ask questions of Jennifer or myself, but just so there's no background noises. Audio, if you're having trouble hearing us, if it's cutting out, I found that the phone option for audio is better, or if you're not having any trouble, the computer speakers are obviously just fine. And lastly, if you have any questions, like I said, please always feel free to let Jennifer I know. You have two options for questions. You can either raise your hand symbol right here that lets us know that you want to say something audibly, like through the phone or your computer speakers, or there's the chat function on your GoToTraining panel here, and you can just type it in and we can both see it. So a little bit about the Women's Business Center and why we're here doing this webinar today. So the Washington Center for Women in Business is a women's business center funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration. The SBA realized that women in business have realized a smaller amount of profits and have less access to capital than their male counterparts in the same industry. And so why is that, and how can they help? And so the Women's Business Center is a national program. However, we serve the state of Washington. And really we help businesses on a variety of business-related topics. You'll see just some of them on the screen, but really it's anything that is, if your business is struggling, or if you have a hurdle, or if you have a goal that you'd like us to help you meet, be more profitable, grow, be more sustainable, that's what we're here for in all of the topics that you see there. And we do this through workshops like today's over the webinar. We have a webinar every Wednesday. They're always free. We also have other webinar offerings and some in-person trainings in the Lacey Puget Sound region normally. But then a lot of one-on-one coaching options. So our business coach, Christine Buckley, you'd meet with her one-on-one either in person or over the phone or over Skype if you're not in the Lacey area. That's where our office is. And she would work with you one-on-one to get you to where you wanted to go. So like I said, we are statewide, Washington statewide. To meet with us is free for the first time, and then $25 for that hour session after that. But we do have scholarships available. We never want that $25 to be a barrier. And there is all of our contact information on the screen there. You're welcome to reach out to me, Tracy, anytime, especially about the scholarships, but you can also talk to Christine about the scholarships after you meet. And like I mentioned, this is every Wednesday. I won't go through all of these. I'll email these out to you, but this is our upcoming schedule. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Let's see. Sorry, 1 second here. Okay, are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Is your website your number one salesperson?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I plan to go through quite a few things, and I think that I'm thinking that we'll have a lot of questions. I hope we have a lot of questions. So please, put them in the chat box or whatever. I'll get to most of them at the end, just in case we go over some of the things that you would have questions about. But you might have questions about these things, how they pertain to your business, and that's fantastic. So we will jump right in. So you're in the right place today. If you know that your website is important to the success of your business, but you're just not sure what that entails, If you feel like you have to hustle for every single new client or customer, and if you have the capacity to take on more business, but the customers just aren't there. People say, if you build it, they will come, from that older movie. And in the case of business, it's just not true. If just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. You got to do things to get them there into your business. So what you're going to learn today is what makes a website a #1 salesperson. Like, what does that even mean? Pro tips to improve your website's ability to sell, and then the deal breakers, like things that you want to avoid on your website as much as possible. So why do you even want to listen to me? So you're a busy entrepreneur, you're tired of being the sole salesperson for your business. I know most of us, if we are, whether local or online businesses, we don't have, a bunch of employees and a sales team and things like that. It's usually either we're a solopreneur with just us, or we have a small staff. So we are typically the only salesperson for our business. And that makes it really hard. So you're good at what you do, but you don't feel like your website conveys that clearly. That's a big problem for businesses, and it can really prevent you from having a successful business. And you're all about working smarter instead of harder. So really quick, I'm Jen. I'm the owner of Typey Studio. We create websites for small businesses. My background is in business development, so I love to make websites, but really it's not my, it's not where I started. I started in business development, so I can geek out on business development all day long. I'm the creator of Live in 5 websites, which helps small businesses get online fast. That's a big problem with websites, is usually they're these ginormous projects that last 3 months and have a $5,000 price tag, and that's not what most small businesses need. So we don't do that. I'm a huge puzzle nerd. Usually you can find me working on a puzzle in my downtime, and lately I'm absolutely addicted to the coloring app on my phone. It's a good one. So your website is a vital asset for your business. Or if you don't have a website, or if you have an underdeveloped, that says undeveloped, but it should be underdeveloped website, then you're working harder than you need to be. Your website may actually be working against you, and you may be behind in your market, meaning there could be others, competitors that people are going to instead, that maybe they do subpar work compared to you, but they have a better website, a better web presence, and so they might be ahead of you in the game in that way. So first impression is the #1 thing for a website that sells. So the first impression is the most vital job for your website, and it's based on the design elements of your website. So photos, graphics, fonts, colors, and a combination of these elements. That's the most important part, is it's a combination of these elements. So if you have like some good photos, but the fonts and colors are terrible, then it's still not going to be a good first impression. Here's the killer. You have less than 1 second for that first impression. So once your website loads, you have a half a second. That's a really bold statement there. But here's the thing. It determines your perceived credibility. So whether or not you're the best at what you do in the world, if your website doesn't give someone a good first impression in that first half second, then you have a lower perceived credibility than someone who might not know what they're doing, but their website looks way better. That is a challenge, it's for sure. On top of that, first impression is the biggest factor in purchase decision. So if someone, they're looking at two different companies that, and I don't mean that they've had like a call with you or anything like that, but if they're looking at two different companies and they need to base a decision just on that first impression, then that first impression is going to be one of the biggest factors of whether or not they will buy with you. So clearly it can make or break a sale. So things that you want to avoid in your websites are blurry or poorly sized images, broken links. You definitely don't want to use like off-brand colors, too many fonts in different weights and sizes, and then complex design ideas. So complex design ideas, what I mean by that is a lot of times when someone might want to DIY their website, so do it yourself website, they take design ideas from several different sources and they put them together thinking, all of these great things look good on all of these other websites, so I'm going to put them together on my own website. The problem is that they don't necessarily jive all together, and so you have the right idea, just you have too many of them, and so it's just not working on the page. And then just to go back a little bit with fonts, I see this on websites a lot. I don't know if you notice it, but when you go to a website and you're looking at the text on it, and you notice that some of the fonts are different sizes, or they're like a lot of it is bold or italicized, and it's just really busy, a lot of stuff going on. You really want to avoid that and make it as simple as possible. Page load time. Sorry, I'm just trying to see really quick if I can see if anyone is putting up their hands or in the chat. I think we're good, but so page load time, it's another doozy. You have 2 seconds for your page to load before people will start leaving your website. By 4 seconds, 25% of all visitors have already left your website. So here's my example here. Let's say, just for simplicity's sake, you have 1,000 visitors a month, but your website is taking 4+ seconds to load. You automatically lose 250 of those visitors without any potential to make the sale. And I don't mean to make the sale right there on the website. I mean to get them into your store, to get them to call you, to have them sign up for your online, your newsletter. So whatever it is that you want them to do on your website, it's not going to happen now because they're not on your website anymore. They've left. So that's really important, because a lot of us spend a lot of time and effort and energy getting people to go to our website. And so if you're doing all of those things, you could really be wasting your time, spinning your wheels, doing all of these things for a website that's just not going to get the job done. So you want to avoid extremely large images. If you use stock photography, a lot of times they can be downloaded in very large sizes, like 3,200 pixels or 5,000 pixels wide. And that's great for a lot of things, but not for your website. We want them smaller than that. Bloated code, I know that unless you build websites, that might not mean a whole lot, but if you have a website that's going slowly, it could be related to some bloated code, some just code that's not streamlined in your website, and that's something that you might need to have a professional look at for you. And then excessive plugins. There are some fantastic plugins that extend the functionality of your website, but if you have so many plugins that it's slowing things down, then it's seesawed to the other side. It's no longer benefiting you, and you'd want to see if you can get rid of some of those plugins. Is this making sense for everyone so far?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, mobile friendly. A website that sells is definitely mobile friendly. So 53% of all users say they won't recommend a business with a poorly designed mobile site. And I know a lot of people who have their entire businesses online, like they don't have brick and mortar location, just online. And I tell them this and they go, oh, I haven't even looked to see what my mobile site looks like in like ages. It's one of those things that it can really be a hindrance. So make sure that you're checking out your mobile site. So Google now gives priority to mobile friendly sites. So what that means is that, let's say someone is looking for a dog walker, and that would be like, I'm in the Seattle area. So let's say I type in dog walker, automatically Google is looking for me in the Seattle area. They're going to show me, Google is going to show me in the search results, the mobile friendly sites before it shows me the other sites that aren't mobile friendly. So even if you have more reviews, better customer service, a better website in every other way, all of these things going for you, better rates, Google is still going to say, or still going to push your website down and give preference to those mobile friendly websites. Excuse me, let me take a drink of water really quick. So it used to be that having a mobile site was kind of a luxury. I might be dating myself a little bit here, but I remember back when credit cards were not accepted in every business. And my parents had a small business, and I remember telling my parents, you know, oh, credit cards, we gotta take credit cards. You have to. And for a while, my dad and I were having a little bit of a debate because he was saying, no, just checks and cash. That's all we need to do. And now, like, if you don't take credit cards, you're really behind in the game. If you don't take Apple Pay, you're behind in the game. Not as much, but, and that's how it is for a mobile friendly website. It used to be that you could get away with it, and now you can't. You have to have a mobile friendly website. Excuse me. So what can you do? Google makes it really easy to find out if your website is mobile friendly. I have a link here, and I'm going to leave it up here for 1 minute while I mute and cough really quick so you can write that down. That's a really good link to keep on hand so that you can check your site, make sure that Google sees it as mobile friendly, but then also look on your own phone. And things will look different on other phones. I have an iPhone, someone else might have, I don't know what other phones are, an Android of some sort. So if you don't have other phones, ask your friends or family to check for you. Sales copy. Just to make sure everyone knows what I'm talking about, copy is another word for the text on your website. So sales copy it's different than just writing. I've done a lot of websites for authors who are fantastic writers, but they go to their website and it's a whole different thing. You're not writing to have beautiful writing. You're writing to sell, to market. It's very different. And so just keep in mind as you're writing the text for your website that that you need it to be very sellable. You want to format it in blocks of readable, scannable text and like use bullet points instead of full paragraphs. So, you know, we learn in school that a paragraph is another topic, or gosh, now I'm forgetting what we learned in school, but there's a certain rules about paragraphs. And when it comes to a website, all of those windows, or all of those rules go out the window. We might have one sentence in a paragraph, and a second paragraph is one other sentence, and they, in regular writing, they would be one paragraph, but that's just not the case with a website. If sales copy is something that you struggle with, you don't need to hire a copywriter to do the whole website for you. If you want to, you can, but copywriting can be a bit expensive. But there are copywriters now who have done with you services, which means that instead of them writing all of the copy for you, they are helping you write it. And that has been really beneficial for a lot of my clients. If anyone is looking for that, you can always shoot me an email and I can give you some referrals for some copywriters who have done with you services. Calls to action. So confused customers don't buy. We all know this to be true. Calls to action are the things that you want people to do, visitors to do, when they visit your website. So we want to have one primary call to action per page. If there's a bunch of calls to action, like you can do this, or you can do this, or you can do that, then that's when people get confused and they're less likely to click on any of them. We think, oh, we're just giving them choices, but that's not what people want. They don't want choices. They want to be guided to the right place. So one primary call to action per page. Buying isn't always the best call to action. So CTA is call to action. Sometimes your call to action might be joining your email list or contacting you. So if visitors opt into your email marketing list but they don't buy, it's absolutely still a win. So on most home pages, my primary goal is to have people join my email marketing list. Because if they do nothing else on my website, if they go no farther into the website, I know that at least I can market to them later on. That's a big win. So what can you do? Be strategic with your calls to action. Make it easy for visitors to subscribe if that's what your call to action is. Make it really easy for them to do that. And never leave a page without a call to action. So an example of this might be on an about page. And you think, oh, the about page, it should just be about the business or about me. And that's true. It's a lot of it is about the business or how you help your customers. But make sure you put a call to action at the bottom of that page or mid-page, depending on the length of it. It could be to subscribe, it could be to contact you, to set up a discovery call, it could be to check out your services, whatever it is, give them something to do. You don't want to just end the page without telling them what that next step would be to work with you. The subscription form, very important. Let's see, okay. So get visitors to join your email list by offering an enticing lead magnet. Now, this looks different for different businesses. And it's also different, or can be different, for local businesses versus online businesses. So if I had a local business, then my lead magnet would likely be something like a coupon, whether it was a free appetizer or 10% off or whatever it might be. A coupon of some sort works very well. For online businesses, it's usually something more like a checklist or a guide, something of value. So subscribers are inviting you into their inbox. So this is really important. If you think about it, if you were trying to sell your offering, your service, and you were out on the sidewalk, on some random sidewalk trying to sell to people, you might not get a very good response. Probably be pretty, pretty poor if you were just trying to talk to anyone who happened to be passing by. But let's say you had instead the option to, someone said, come into my living room, tell me everything about your service. I'm very interested in this. Of course, you have a much more likelihood of selling to that person. And that's exactly what subscribers are. They've invited you into their inbox. Think of them as inviting them in. They have invited you into their living room, and be good to them and they'll be super good to you. So what you can do, include a subscription form on most pages, have a dedicated squeeze page for your opt-in, and share that page on social media. So a lot of times people say, well, I have a subscription form on almost all of my pages. So every time I share a page, a website link to, on social media, that they'll see that subscription form and they'll be able to sign up there. But you don't want to do that. You want it to be super simple. So just have a page that's dedicated just to your opt-in. And then use appealing verbiage. You never want to say join our newsletter, because people don't actually want your newsletter. They want your excuse me. They want the information, but we think newsletter and we think, oh my gosh, more email. So just try and stay away from join our newsletter. Social proof. So testimonials are crucial for many businesses, but there's a difference between effective and decorative testimonials. So decorative testimonials are the kind that say, I'll just use my business as an example. Jen was great to work with. She was so nice. That's super sweet. I appreciate that. I appreciate every testimonial I get, but it's not an effective testimonial. So an effective testimonial tells people where your customer or client was before they worked with you or had your service, and where they were after. So there's a transformation. That's an effective testimonial. So you want to work to get those. Use photos of people when you can. That helps visitors on your website relate to the people, relate to your testimonials. And then make sure that you have testimonials on every page. I like to include testimonials on the contact page, the about page, like truly every page. So what can you do? Implement a client feedback system. I know a lot of times it's hard to ask people for a testimonial, and that's why I never ask people for a testimonial. I ask them for their feedback, and I have a short list of questions, either 4 or 5 questions, and I email them the questions, they fill them out, and then I pull the testimonial out of their responses. So, and I'm also getting genuine feedback. So it's a win-win. Keep all of them. I use Google Drive a lot, and so I have a Google Drive folder that's just for testimonials. And not only am I keeping track of testimonials that I get back from those feedback forms, but I also save screenshots of things that are said on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If I get emails from customers about how great our service is, I'm keeping them, whether it's a snapshot or copying and pasting that text into a document in Google Drive, but keep all of them because they're really valuable for you. One thing that you don't want to do is copy and paste from social media. So if someone gives you a review on Facebook, you don't want to copy and paste that and put it on your website. You can take a screenshot of it so that you can see that it's from social media, from Facebook, but you don't actually want to just copy and paste just the text. Contact information. So 44% of website visitors will leave a website that doesn't have a phone number. That's big. I know for me personally, I work online and I'm just not a phone person as much as I would love to be. I'm just not. And so it really, this one, it was a hard one for me. I do have a phone number for my business now, but it's just a message number. And so if someone calls, they will hear a voicemail message that says, you know, you've reached our message line. I forget what the exact verbiage is. So, and you can get a Google phone number for free. So I would look into that. If you're local, include a Google map featuring your location on your contact page. That's really important for potential customers, but it's also important for your the optimization of your website. And then use a contact form instead of an email address. You could use both, but I wouldn't use an email address without a contact form. And so you can use a contact form by itself or a contact form and show an email address, but not just an email address. Okay, so overall, just a quick run through again, a website that sells, makes a good first impression, loads in 2 seconds or less, is mobile friendly, has good sales copy, utilizes strategic calls to action, has subscription forms on almost every single page, includes effective testimonials, clearly shows contact information, sorry, and clearly shows contact information. That like include all of those things on your website, all of those strategies, and you will have a website that sells. I am going to see, Tracy, do you know if we have any questions?
I don't see any that have been typed in. Now would be a good chance if you came into this webinar with a question, or if something came up while Jennifer was speaking. Feel free to either raise your hand if you'd like to just unmute yourself and talk, or you can type into the chat box. Definitely want to leverage Jennifer's time while we're here. And thank you so much, Jennifer. That was some great information. And I know myself, I get so irritated when I can't find if a company is local or not when I'm like going on there and shopping and trying to figure out where they are. And so some of those tips, like they resonated with me as a consumer as well. So that's fun. And for those of you that joined us a little later, this is being recorded, and I will send out the recording so that you can hear that beginning part that you may have missed. But do we have any questions? And Jennifer, we have one from Carissa. I don't know if you can see it. What questions do you ask to get the effective testimonial from clients?
So great question, Carissa. I ask basically, let's see, I'm going to try and remember it right now because I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but essentially it's number one would be, what problem were you dealing with before you reached out to me? Or it could be what challenge, or you know, whatever it is, like get an idea of what was going on with them before, and then and then how has that changed since working with me? Or in my case, it's you know, how has that changed since your new website? And then I also ask them what is the one thing that people should know about working with me or Type Studio? And then I ask them, what's your favorite part of your new website? And then I also ask them, is there anything that we could have done to make your experience with us better? And that is just as valuable as all of the good questions. It's one that sometimes, who knows, you might hear something you don't want to hear. But if you genuinely want to, improve your business based on customer feedback, that one is good to have in there. And I know that I have made changes in my business thanks to really good customers answering that question.
Yeah, that's almost the most valuable piece out of testimonials are the ones that do have feedback for you that are that you can implement. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's been huge for me.
Do we have any other questions for Jennifer before we log out today?
I was trying to go a little bit fast because I thought we'd have all these questions. So I'm sorry if I went too fast. If you're interested in well, a couple things. So first of all, the free resources. If you're curious about what to include on each page, a lot of people get it wrong, like what to include on their about page and their home page. This is an opt-in page. Actually, if you also want to see an example of a squeeze page, you can go here, typebestudio.com/convert, and you can get that download there. And then also, if you want a copy of these slides, I know I did go really fast, so if you want a copy of them, you can just shoot an email to me at jennifer@typebestudio.com, and I will email you back a copy of these slides.
I just put her email address in the chat box. I'll also send it out with a follow-up email. Let's see. We have another question here. For selling a product, would you go more image heavy over language content?
Yes, absolutely. So when you're talking products, it's a lot different. So yes, the images would be the primary. The text is important, but it's people are going to read bullets more than they read lines of text. So I would include multiple images if you can, and a good description, but not a lengthy description, but more of just bullets. Does that make sense for your for your particular situation?
Yeah, I think it does. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What do you sell? Can I ask?
Well, right now I've got a lot of different products that are possibilities, and I need to whittle it down to one, or maybe just make a bunch of websites with different things, or put them all in the same website, but more of like a marketplace.
Gotcha. When it comes to something like that, I would say keep in mind who your client or who your customer is. So if you have a bunch of different products that also, let's say your target customer is a stay-at-home mom with twins, then make sure that all of the products on that website are good for that stay-at-home mom with twins. On the other hand, if a different product is good for millennial guys who are maybe are millennials still in college? I don't know.
Probably some of them. Well, so I'll give you two examples. One example would be a iPad case, and then another example would be a cold brew coffee maker. So they're like two completely different things.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I don't know if I should have two different websites or, you know.
Yeah. So I think that when it comes to marketplace websites, they just don't work like they used to because we have Amazon, right? So we go to Amazon for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but it would tie in like that. My marketplace site would tie into other marketplace sites, right? Like I wouldn't rely on just that marketplace site to all of a sudden be this huge go-to, right?
Right, right.
I
But if,
don't have the kind of products that the other ones have.
right. But if you had multiple products that appeal to the same client, the same customer, then absolutely put those on the same site. But yeah, if it's things that aren't for the same customer, then that's where you get into um, the need for multiple sites.
Right, but should they just be super simple sites that, just there's the product and here's a price and here's a couple of features and just leave it at that? With some pictures?
Like I would say mostly pictures, but you definitely have to have your product description in there. So your product description is going to answer any questions that they might have, but your images are what's really going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So does that make sense?
Totally. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Great questions there. Getting some personalized feedback. Is there any other questions before we let everybody go? Okay. Well, if I'm sure other questions will come to you, feel free to reach out or take a look at that typebstudio.com/convert for some examples, and I will send out the contact information for Jennifer and myself after this webinar along with the recording. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great rest of their Wednesday and a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Jennifer.
And thank you,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.